My name is Jordan Wiegand, and this is Enter Flash Time, where we slow time down, examine, and take an in depth look at each episode of the Arrowverse series, The Flash, and any episode he may appear in the larger universe. Today's episode is Three Ghosts, the ninth episode of the second season of Arrow, and the 32nd episode overall of Arrow. We are starting here, continuing from last week where we talked The Scientist with my guest Lance Laster from Always Hold On to Arrow, because these are the first two episodes Barry Allen appears in the Arrowverse. My guest today, though, is no surprise. If you've listened to Supes and Sabers, he's my co-host on there. He's been on Elseworlds when that was originally separated from Supes and Sabers and all of that. And it is Chris. How are you today, Chris?
I'm doing well. I can feel the speed force tingling in my system again, so I will recover from any ailments that come my way.
So why don't you give us just a little bit of background of your history with both Arrow and ultimately the character that we're going to be talking about and focusing on this show, The Flash and his
Mhm.
series.
The Flash is really pivotal into my journey into comics because I started reading comics really because of two things: the Arkham video games for Batman and the Flash series. I had always liked the movies, always liked the cartoons and stuff, but like getting into comics, I was like, I needed more Flash. I loved, and I just consumed the new 52 Flash very quickly after that. And I think this show, I missed the beginning of it, and like I had like caught up on uh by the end of season three, I had caught up to like the live watching it live, because I watched the first three seasons on Netflix, and I I just I loved the idea of the Speed Force. I love phasing; it's my favorite thing ever. I love all things Flash, and Barry Allen, though in particular, this character was so pivotally important for me because I am, if nothing else, if not an idealist. And Barry is the we will find a way, we will get it done. I don't care if you say I can't do it; I'll find a way to do it, because it's the right thing to do. And so Barry's idealism and his stubborn belief that he can do it is one of my favorite things. And what I just love the show. I'm not one of those people who say it went downhill after the first two seasons. I don't think it really even starts to dip in quality until season six. But I will say that there's things in season five that might have given a hint, but no, I love the show. I think it is about as good of a superhero show as there is. I think it can stack up to pretty much anything, including like the Smallvilles of the world. It's just an important show for me. I think it's the spirit of what superheroes should be. So I don't know. I love it.
So when you started, did you because you said you watched the first three on Netflix. That was the
Hmm.
first three of the Flash, right? Like,
Yeah.
did you like start with Arrow and then go that, or you watched Flash and then go to Arrow?
So I watched the first two seasons of the Flash, and then realized I have to get on this Arrow thing.
Okay,
And
interesting.
then so I was like, okay. And I knew my brother had kind of liked Arrow in like the beginning of it. So, but like I hadn't watched it, so I was like, yeah, it's not bad. Um, and he dropped off after like season two or three of Arrow. So I watched. So then I started watching Arrow. Then I started watching Legends of Tomorrow. And at that point, once I had caught up to the Flash, and like I was watching all the Arrowverse live, basically, I had basically got to this point where like I had had that much responsibility at the time of my life. So really, I was just caught up quickly on as much of it as, and I was watching it live, and then it was pretty awesome because you'd have Arrow, you'd have Flash on Supergirl on Monday, Flash on Tuesday. I think Arrow was Thursday, Wednesday, or no, it was Thursday. Then you'd have Legends of Tomorrow. So it was it was a pretty good time to be an Arrowverse fan. Like, and I would like I remember my favorite memory of the Flash was I used to work a bunch of 11 to 7 shifts, and they were the worst shifts ever. But the cool thing is, the Flash came on at 8 on Tuesdays, so I would put in an order to Toledo's. I get a medium pizza and wings, and that's what I did on Flash night. Wasn't
Yeah,
the
come on, watch
healthiest
the
habit,
Flash.
but yeah, you watch the Flash with pizza and wings. It was a really fun time. So I I you know I remember when season 4 was going on. It was a really interesting season because uh, my dog, my Boston Terrier, died
Mm,
basically the night of the Crisis on Earth X crossover. And I remember watching the episode and then like staying up all night with him. So Crisis on Earth X is kind of hard for me just because of that.
okay.
But then the show goes on a hiatus, and then I got Goose, and I remember Goose being this little tiny little pug, and like sleeping on my shoulder on the top of the sofa, and then in the middle of one of the Barry Allen prison episodes, um, like when he's in prison, she just decides she's going to run all over the house. So she falls off the back of the sofa, is running around the house. I'm trying to catch this little dog. She starts peeing everywhere, and it's just so the Flash is so pivotally tied into my memories with Goose, um, that was part of my life, man. It was a part of who I am.
Yeah, I talked about this last episode, but it's I'm probably gonna end up talking about it with each guest, but I kind of stayed away from it for a bit because of um because I was upset it was not Justin Hartley Arrow, right? I was a big Smallville guy, so I was like, I don't know. I had seen some episodes, or bits and pieces, I would say, because I remember when I lived in Florida on my second college program when I worked at Disney. It was um, uh, season 2 had just hit Netflix of Arrow, and I think it was actually episode 7 of this season, the one where they're in the courtroom. I had saw that part of Moira getting grilled or whatever was going on there. I had seen that part. So that was something that was you know, uh I'd seen bits and pieces of that. Then one of my roommates at that point was a big Flash fan, and he was, at that point I think season 1 had was just starting. So he was like catching up on that while we were down there, or it was about to start or something. Right, this started 2014. Okay, yeah. So I was on program down in January to May of 2015. So season 1 was going on during that time. And then my parents started watching it not long after I got back, I guess when it hit Netflix. I don't know. And I remember seeing the Christmas episode, parts of it, right? Because I think that's where they reveal that might have the does that have the reveal of uh Reverse Flash in that one?
It's right around that time.
I think so, because I'd also seen that too. So I was like, oh, I know that Wells is that. Like that was something
Hmm.
I already knew.
Hmm.
This is a rewatch podcast, by the way, too. So spoilers are whatever. Um, but yeah, so then what? 2023 in the build up to the Flash movie, I'm sitting there on Valentine's Day, called out of work, and I'm sick, not feeling. I think I left early or I logged off early, whatever it was. And my wife and I had just finished our Smallville rewatch throughout 2021. Finished it like early 2022, I think. So it's been like a year, and I'm like, oh, I'm in that DC itch right now. I just want something DC, and I'm like, do I do it? Do I dive into the Arrowverse? And I started watching Arrow that day, and I blew
Hmm.
through, I think, like the first 8 or more episodes that day. Um, and within the year, right here's my post from 2024. 355 days, 6 shows, 37 seasons, 699 episodes. Arrowverse complete. And if I rank the shows, The Flash is number 1, which surprises
Mm-hmm.
people. I think it
That's
also
my number one too.
surprises people too. I think Legends of Tomorrow is my number 2.
We have the
Uh,
same top
Ar-
two.
Arrow is 3rd, and people give me grief on that. I actually just recently, I think, got a comment on the YouTube short I made from 2023 where people were like, "That list is wrong." Um,
I
then
think people like Arrow
Supergirl.
more than I do.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's
Mhm.
like, and I can kind of understand why the first 2 seasons are full of promise. I don't know if it ever lives up to that again. And I know people say the same thing about The Flash, but like I like The
Mhm.
Flash better. I don't know. I just do.
There's something about Grant Gustin and his portrayal of this character that you can sit through kind of a filler, stupid kind of episode because Grant sells it. Um, I think with Arrow, they wrote themselves into a bunch of corners, and it kind of got annoying. Like I remember the big thing with Arrow that annoyed me was season 5 at the like best cliffhanger I've ever seen. Like it was like the island's gonna blow up, Leonu's gonna blow up, and they're all on the island, and
Hmm.
Oliver's on the boat, and Adrian. It was a great cliffhanger, and then the only person who dies out of that cliffhanger is the expendable character that we didn't care about, the mother of William. So, and then it's like, okay, that was really convenient. There's no drama, there's no stakes, and then the show was kind of wishy washy season 6, and it's just like I Arrow annoyed me every time I loved it. It reminded me that it's not perfect. Or the Flash is, I had the charm of the Flash. The show kept like elements of it I liked the whole time. Like even in season 9, when there's like that stupid episode where they find mold in Star Labs, and like it's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous freaking episode. It is. It's still kind of fun, you know. And, and that's I think Flash and Legends of Tomorrow were always fun for me. Arrow sometimes felt like work.
Yeah, that is how I would put it too. Because there were like, again, I watched all of these in the span of a year. There were some seasons where I was like, man, I just need to get through these 3 Arrow episodes to get to the next Flash episode I need to watch. Like,
The
just get
beginning
me.
of Arrow is so bingeable. It is
It was. I mean,
incredibly
I
bingeable.
was so on board that I bought
Mm.
a Green Arrow shirt and I was like
Uh-huh.
ready for. I watched all the way up to this episode in the first weekend of my. It was like 3 days.
I would say the last 3 episodes of season 1 into the last episode of season 2 might be the best stretch of episodes any show had in the Arrowverse. So it's not like I don't revere Arrow. Like I find a lot of good things in the show.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know where the hell it went. Um, and like it's just like Arrow's that show where no one was allowed to be happy. If you notice, every
Yep.
character had to be put down in the gutter. Even Diggle had a drug problem at one point, and I hated that whole arc. Like,
Yeah,
cause
yeah. I forgot about that.
Diggle is like my favorite character in Arrow. Like Diggle to me is
Say
the
most
heartbeat
people's,
of the show. Oh
right?
well, like he's the most likable character. He honestly, in terms of the Arrowverse, outside of Barry Allen, Diggle might be the most likable character in the whole universe. Um, so I really didn't like them dragging Diggle into the mud, and then they couldn't get Laurel right until they got her doppelganger, her evil doppelganger,
Yeah,
and it's
Earth
like,
2.
and then it's like they put us through this pointless death of Laurel, um, that they built like a whole season towards of like who's in the casket, who's in the grave. So, you know, I do revere Arrow. I know my mom likes it a lot more than I do. Like she loves Arrow, absolutely loves Arrow. I think
You
I
know
like
what
the
I
Flash way more than she does.
you
So,
know what I liked a lot, and Arrow started it, so I gotta give him props, I
mhm,
guess, is the intro, which I kind of mimic here with
mhm,
my name is, you know, Oliver Queen, and I this becomes
mhm.
something else, right? Like, That because Flash does the
Mhm.
same thing, and there comes a point where Flash and Legends stop doing that, and I get so sad because I really like that. I really do.
I feel like Legends reached a point where it didn't need to do that anymore. Like I feel like Legends reached a point where it was its own thing entirely. I feel like here's my thing with the Arrowverse. I feel like Supergirl was a fantastic show at its best, and I think the best Supergirl you could argue was as good as anything in the Arrowverse. The worst Supergirl was just uh,
Mhm.
there were episodes of Supergirl that are just unbearable to be put through. In fact, there are times when I think Melissa Benoist probably looked at the script and was like, "Really, we're doing this?" But
Probably.
and you know what? I'm sure someday we'll get her saying that. Like it's not it's not hard to believe that some of those scenes. Like I will never forget like the finale of Supergirl where she's like, "Oh my God, I can." She's supercharged by the sun, and now she can hear people objecting to what she's doing. It's like she had super hearing the whole time, like just stuff like that. But yeah, well, I'll stop this rant.
All right, I guess let's get into the episode proper here, which,
Hmm.
as stated previously, is episode 9 of season 2 of Arrow, the second episode that Barry Allen appears in the Arrowverse. Here's some episode info for you. Story by Greg Berlanti and Andrew Kreisberg. Teleplay by Geoff Johns and Ben Sokolowski. Sorry, Sokolowski. There you go. And directed by John Behring. And it aired December 11th, 2013 on the CW. Here's the synopsis from Netflix. Oliver is visited by ghosts from the past. Meanwhile, Barry continues to help Felicity, and their connection grows stronger. Um, I guess let's go general thoughts for it, and then we'll kind of go plot by plot here. What was just like, you know, you came to this after already having watched Flash, so like, what
Hmm.
was it like for me? This was my introduction to Barry,
Hmm.
and look, I already liked the Flash, right? We kind of talked about this as probably before, but like when we first met, we were talking Superman and Lois on
Hmm.
Elseworlds, and I hadn't watched the Arrowverse. Then I started diving into it, and you would ask me like, "Oh, where are you at now?" Like stuff like that, and then we actually started doing that on Elseworlds, right? Where we went through my updates, but the way that I kind of remember this is, I've liked The Flash. I was very pumped for 2023's movie, right?
Hmm.
And um Michael Rosenbaum voiced him in Justice League, and that was Wally West, and that was my favorite. And anytime he showed up in a comic, and I think I was pulling The Flash around this time because of um the tie-in with War on Earth 3 anyway, but so I had some Flash issues. I was doing that, but so he was like the one I was most excited for. I was like, let's get to the Flash. But then like the first bit of Arrow like really intrigued me. But then once I got to these two episodes, I was kind of like looking at like, all right, I got to get to the Flash. So I'm speed running Arrow season 2 to get to more Grant Gustin Flash, just because he was so charming in these two episodes. But like at this point, you already knew that when you were watching
Hmm.
this. So like, did it play differently for you that way?
I you know I like stripping Barry Allen from his powers because he doesn't have them yet, and like I like the
So
idea.
hold on.
uh,
So does the Flash because that'll do that a few times in the show's
oh my
run.
God. No, but I think I liked the idea of Barry Allen without powers in a context where he didn't give his powers up for some reason, or he didn't
Yes, yeah, yeah.
the Speed Force wasn't tested. There was no bullcrap drama. It was just Barry Allen before powers, and I like I like the whole reason he was there. The idea that, you know, Work didn't actually know he was there and he's chasing the impossible because he believes in the impossible because he knows his dad is wrongly imprisoned and what happened to him. And I think his conveying this story is pretty darn awesome. I think the way he kind of gets disappointed by who Oliver kind of is kind of awesome, especially considering they are like the main friendship of the Arrowverse. And I thought the idea with him and Felicity um, was such a wonderful like pairing, where it's like they're both kind of pining after something they can't have, and they both are interested in each other, and I I I liked it. But see, I went into this knowing I already like Grant Gustin Flash, like I already like Barry, like and then
Right.
so I was like kind of like, is he written differently? I feel like this Barry is a little bolder than
Yeah. No, I would
uh,
agree. There is a little bit of character difference in,
uh,
and that's what this podcast is
hmm
about, right? We're exploring
hmm
Barry throughout all these. So okay, sorry to cut you off, but like
no, you're
I'm
good.
on a track here. I'm on a track here where what did you make? Because they do this in season 1 too, as we
hmm
go down the line here, of the like chemistry between him and Felicity, and like were you rooting for that over the Iris relationship?
hmm
Because
I gotta
she
be honest
appears
with
in the show as well.
I gotta be honest with you. As a guy who once had a crush that he like hung on too long, way too long, and then eventually kind of got squashed by it, like I'm just like, gather ye rosebuds while you may. Like I'm like, get get on this Felicity thing. I thought they were perfect. I think they actually have more chemistry than any characters in the Arrowverse. Especially, they're both science geeks. They both kind of put their foot in their mouth when they talk. It's a really good match. So I don't want to say I was rooting for it, but I always thought Barry and Felicity makes a lot more sense than Felicity and Oliver. I actually
Mhm.
think Oliver and Laurel should have been the end game. And I will stand by that to the
Earth 2 Laurel?
no, I think regular Laurel should have been the end game. I wanted to kill her off, okay?
Yeah, yeah.
Um I to me that should have been the end game for Oliver, because I feel like his whole thing was he cheated on Sarah, he cheated on Laurel with Sarah, and then like he like regretted it the whole time he was on the island, and like part of him growing up was being the man he needed to be with Laurel, like that just that whole arc was what I was rooting for Oliver. So I
Right.
think I think Barry and Felicity would have made a ton of sense. I think you like in the world of separate TV shows, it couldn't work. But
Exactly. Yeah. No, this is something I think enjoyed when I was watching it too, was just their chemistry. And then, we kind of see more of that in Flash, like when
mhm.
he and her kind of connecting in that crossover that we'll get to. But it's again, it's tough because she's a series
Yeah,
regular in there. But
uh,
they could move her just over to Flash full
yeah,
time. Like they
they
could have
could
done
have.
that.
I
Yeah.
mean, they could have just, instead of what they did with Patty, just have her come in as like a forensic science person, like maybe she like takes job at Mercury Labs. You know,
Right. Right.
it would have been really easy. But I think Felicity is more charming with Barry. I think
Yeah.
she plays better. I think she's such a foil to Oliver's personality that Arrow was always going for a balancing Oliver out. It was always going for a
Yeah. Like
opposites attract
humanizing
kind of
him type of
a,
thing.
a thing. Whereas I feel like I just always felt the chemistry between uh, Oliver and Laurel was strong, and then their connection with the love triangle with Tommy and Tommy dying, it just like I felt like Tommy would be happy that someone was always protecting Laurel. I that's how I always thought of it. So I I always thought Oliver and Laurel should be together. I that's my one bugaboo with Arrow, which makes me kind of not like Felicity that much in the show of Arrow.
Hmm.
But she's much better in the crossovers. Um, like she has a great line in the crossovers of Earth X. She's like, you know, I'm not here to get killed by a Nazi after we beat my grandparents, dealt with that. So like, and then
Well, yeah, because she's Jewish too. We
right,
find that out in this, right?
yeah,
We're
yeah,
talking about. He's asking, what are you gonna do for Christmas? She was like, light the menorah.
right. Like I think Felicity had more. I like. I wish they would have kept Felicity super likable and not taking over the show annoying.
Right, right.
And
It
I
is a
know,
theme for some
right,
of these shows that go a little
yeah,
long, that they
yeah.
some of these characters kind of lose
And,
the
and
plot.
this is the argument I always have with my mom because my mom, again, like I told you, she loved Arrow. She loves Felicity. I'm just like it's.
I'm pro Felicity too. I am. I understand people wanting the, comic accurate Laurel relationship, but like, I mean, I was just saying on here, right, that I would want Felicity and Barry together, and that's not the comic accurate one either. So,
No, it's
like,
not.
I'm fine with that.
That's
It's
not really my
just
reasoning, but
no, but for some people
mhm,
it is. I've
mhm.
seen that where they're like, oh, because he doesn't end up with her in Smallville either, until with
Yeah,
Chloe. Right, so like he hasn't ended up with a Dinah Lance or Laurel Lance in any continuity so far.
I got to be honest with you. If I was Barry, I'll never let it Patty go. Just put it into you that way. Iris, fantastic, whatever. Patty Spivot. That I found that even in the comics, like in the New 52, like there's like this love triangle thing with like Patty and Iris, and like Patty's like this sweet, wonderful girlfriend who's like
Right.
saying the right things and like keeping his head on straight. And then Iris is just always there, and he's like, "Hi, Iris." It's like it's going that way, but like when there's this moment in the comics where like the Future Flash comes back in time, it's like, "Oh, I'm still dating Patty. This is great." Because he kind
Yes.
of knows that like that was when he had it. That's when he had it all. That was the perfect like life for him. So
So the episode starts off with kind of a recap of they knocked Barry out, brought him in, so that way he wouldn't know where the lair is, all that kind of stuff.
mhm,
And he starts to work on Oliver, who is injured. He starts chest compressions, his blood is
mhm.
clotting. Um, he says the line of like, I usually only work on dead people. Uh, he's full of stuff because he's also like, lucky you have a rat problem, because he uses the rat poison, which apparently the right amount of that will thin the blood, so that way it'll stop clotting.
That was a cool little science like CSI thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and we get Oliver seeing the ghost of Shadow here, and then title card, bum 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 bum. Yeah, all that. Oliver wakes up and starts choking Barry, and he tells Felicity like, I decide who knows my secret. Um, which this is something that always annoyed me about. Look, people make jokes about people knowing Barry's secret identity way too much. I think that's
Hmm.
actually a tally board topic I'm going to have, is people that know Barry's secret. But
Hmm.
and look, it happens the same thing with Oliver later down the line too.
Hmm.
But what's the alternative here? He dies.
Like I thought Oliver was written very unreasonably in this episode. Like I
But
think
it happens all the time, I feel like,
I
with
know.
Oliver, where they make him like this really stubborn asshole that sometimes he loses me.
Hmm. Sometimes I wonder if Stephen Amell got the job because playing a
Because of
jerk was
that.
so easy for him. I do wonder that. Like it's just like I wonder how separate like jerk version of Oliver and Stephen Amell are. I think about that a lot. Like that's one of my little thoughts. Like, but
That's funny.
no, I thought he was a little ridiculous, but I like that nobody cares because the objective was to save Oliver. Like it was
Yeah,
like you
and
don't
she
really get
kind
a
of
say in this.
and Felicity's like, "Hey, how is this any different from when you brought me down to help
Hmm.
you with Diggle? How's this any different from when you brought Diggle down here? Like, it's
Yeah,
not."
Oliver's acting like they went to a hospital, undid the mask, said, "Hey, by the way, here's his identification. Did
Right.
you know he's the world famous Oliver Queen? Everybody, did you know he's Oliver Queen?" That's how Stephen Amell or Oliver is acting in this moment.
Oliver jumps up and is immediately like, I gotta go. He's gonna keep investigating on this, whatever. But Barry is working on being able to like
Hmm.
recreate the fingerprint from uh somehow when Cyrus Gold touched him, or whatever he was touching. He's able to recreate the fingerprint. But that is Oliver goes back to the mansion. We see Thea, who has Roy in her room all bandaged up, because
Hmm.
last episode Oliver shot him to keep him away from you know
Yeah.
investigating stuff, and Oliver calls Diggle for help. We really only get the one side of the conversation for this, but I thought it was really
Hmm.
funny because we get Diggle asking him like what he was shot with, and he's like an arrow, and then Diggle must ask a question about that because he's like, I'll have to explain that later or something, or like
Yeah.
long story type thing. Like Diggle's clearly like, knows that Oliver is the one that shot him then, but he's
Hmm.
like, Oliver has to play this off in front of everybody.
Yeah, and that room is bigger than most houses. Um, it's just
Yeah, huge
insane.
room.
That mansion is insane. Um, I think now with the economic times that we're in, I notice it more than I did back
Yeah. Uh, we get Oliver seeing the ghost of Shadow again in the hallway,
then. Hmm.
and she's saying stuff like, stop fighting and live, take off my father's hood, right? Like she is kind of appealing to this almost like past Oliver, like back before he was like this. Like go back to that. Move on from me.
A
Move
much
on
softer
from
Oliver.
yes, yeah.
Hmm. The
We get a
Oliver that was shocked
flashback.
by things.
We get the flashback of
Hmm.
Slade is dead, right? Ivo breaks into the ship. Sarah is trying to bargain for Oliver and Shadow to live, but they end up forcing Oliver to choose between Sarah and Shadow here, where he, you know, both of them are kneeling execution style. Ivo has a gun,
This scene's
force
rough.
them to choose.
This is a rough scene. Um,
Oliver chooses Sarah, right? He stops the shot.
and
Like
that makes
he's
sense. Like,
yeah, but they're longer history, right?
not only is there a longer history, but if he's still in love with Laurel in any way,
Right, right.
like it's gonna you got two angles there. Whereas for Shadow, it's like very new. It's nice, but it's
Yeah,
new. I feel like Oliver's problem is that he's never met a woman he doesn't love somehow. Um,
that's true.
it's
I
it's
mean,
like,
Felicity kind of mentions this too when he
yeah,
says he saw a vision of Shadow who he met on the island, and she's like, "How many of these women are on the island with you?"
yeah. Uh, well, Felicity's jealous,
Yes.
uh, but I would say that Oliver has almost a comical 100% hit rate with all these women.
Yeah, yeah. He's like the Barney Stinson of the Arrowverse. Um,
But it's not even a challenge accepted because it isn't a challenge for
right. It's
him.
a
He's just that
he could
smooth.
yeah, he could just shrug and here they come. We get like Sebastian Blood mentioning like the serum is almost completed.
Hmm.
They're trying to work on more Mirakuru
It's
and
the
get
whole
that.
storyline I forgot about completely.
Yeah, same until I started watching it. I kind of forgot the main plot of it other than Barry being in these. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. Like this is
And
um
then I was like, of course, Laurel's dating him. I was like, yeah, yeah.
I
Laurel,
forgot that part.
yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, the whole plot of like the early Flash, I mean, the early Arrow, the whole plot is who's Laurel dating?
That's
Main
the bad
character
guy.
or bad guy? Yep.
Yeah, because he was dating Tommy, right, in season
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. Main character or bad guy. There's no other explanation. She's got
Uh
horrible taste.
Barry, even though Oliver was so harsh to him, is still super
Hmm.
excited about being in the lair. He says, I knew the Arrowhead people helping him. And when,
Hmm.
he even says, he had this theory last episode about the green robes and like how he had to have been in like a jungle environment,
Hmm. And I had
or
watched
otherwise,
that
why wouldn't he
episode
wear
before
black?
this one because I was like, I might as well watch the two-parters.
Yeah, yeah.
And like, I got to be honest with you, I loved his obsession with the Green Arrow. I thought it was so character like on. It was right on for his character, and like he's like when he says, because maybe if there was a vigilante back then, he would have
Yes.
stopped
My
my.
mom's killer. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And like that made so much sense, and it's tragic because like he finally meets this guy and he's kind of a dick to him. It's like, how
Don't meet
dare
your
you save
heroes.
my life? How
Yep.
dare you save my life?
Well, yeah. I mean, uh, this is very reminiscent to how the MCU handles Spider-Man, right? With the young hero uh, looking up to the billionaire
Hmm.
hero that's in the public spotlight a bit more. So kind of funny how that is kind of similar there. Um, but yeah, and then he actually asks when he finds out it's on an island is when he kind of is like, "Oh, my theory about you being in like the jungle environment was correct or whatever." And Oliver's just kind of like, "Whatever." Like I'm not about this. But he brings up the hallucinations. He's like, "What type of side effects could the rat poison have?" And he's like, "Well, hallucinations." And that's where he mentions he's seeing Shadow. That's the first ghost. He has not seen anybody else at this point, but uh he's gonna go investigate. Diggle talks Oliver out of going alone, right? Um Oliver was about to go and Diggle's like, "Hey, I'll go." And then Oliver's like, I'll be your backup or whatever. Like I'll go, or vice versa. Like Diggle was gonna be the backup. But Thea goes to visit Laurel. She's investigating this death of Sin's friend Max. This is the whole thing I forgot about too. I forgot all about Sin until she popped up last episode. I was like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
like cause the Arrow is probably the show that has the most revolving door of
Hmm.
characters.
Yeah.
Flash does. Flash and Legends actually, they all have a
Well, Legends was per
revolving door.
season. Arrow was like per episode.
Yeah, but I mean, like Sin was important in those first two
Hmm.
seasons, and then like drops off.
Like I feel like the DNA of Arrow changed season by season.
Yeah.
Like they recreated themselves, I think, every year. It was like, who's the bad guy for the season? Okay, that's the season. Um, I feel like Flash was like, we know who we are the whole way through. Until the Eric Wallace comes, but that's a whole nother thing. Uh, we'll get there. but, but
Eventually.
yeah, I'll have things to say. But but like I feel like Arrow recreated itself a lot.
Yeah. As they're investigating, Diggle gets blindsided by the villain here. They're gonna fight. Diggle escapes out the fire escape, and Oliver's gonna come, pick him up. Um, Oliver then goes to meet Detective Lance on the roof, and this is where he sees Slade for the first time as a hallucination.
Hmm.
Um, and Oliver's kind of telling Lance, "Look, we're going to be going after this guy. Get as many men as you can. Like, get prepared for this." Then we get the other flashback here of Oliver choosing Sarah to live by jumping in front of her. Shadow is killed, and then it like cuts right to commercial. We come back in the present day. It was like a short flashback, like 30,
Hmm.
literally like 30 seconds long. Laurel comes to visit Thea. Oliver answers the door, and they have this discussion about like Christmas decorations. She, how Christmas has been tough time for them, holiday wise, and then she reveals that the blood drive is legit. That was kind of like what the question was about the Mac stuff. Like, is this blood drive legit? Um, but that there's another thing that they could be kind of doing with this on the uh, in the background here. But then we cut to Barry and Felicity talking. Barry mentions their conversation about Oliver and Felicity from last episode. Like, hey, like yesterday I asked you if you really like this guy and you were like, no, but like I'm seeing that you do really like this guy. It's kind of how Barry is approaching this. And he even says like there's a little Iris reference here of I have a little experience of liking someone who doesn't see you the same way. Get little nuggets here as we build up to the pilot.
Yeah, like I said, I kind of already knew exactly what he was talking about, and I was like, yes, yes, you do.
Yeah, because to be fair,
Hmm.
I did not know as much here because look, one thing we're gonna have to confront, and we'll be confronting this next episode with the pilot,
Hmm.
is while some of it's very comic accurate with the Flashpoint uh, origin story,
Hmm.
the stuff with Iris and her dad taking him in is
Completely
brand new
strange.
territory, brand
Yeah.
new territory, and at this point, I did not. I guess I kind of knew that, but I didn't know if that
Hmm.
was like I probably would have guessed this was an Iris reference, but like I don't know if everybody watching would have thought of this as an Iris
Yeah.
reference too, because like Iris is not typically like this girl that you know
Iris
he
is
pines
like
for.
Iris is into Barry. Like that's
Right, right.
yeah. Like in the comics, it's like Iris is like, "Hi Barry, hi Barry, hey, hey Barry." Like
Yes,
can't stay away from Barry. Literally,
watch my
that's it.
nephew.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Who is inevitably going to be superpowered. Um, but yeah, I would say with this though that um, like if you're like just from the comics, you're like, where's Detective Fry? You're like, where's like, wait a second, he goes and lives with Joe West. Who's Joe West? So it is. I kind of came from the TV show to the comics, so I had the opposite. When I was
Yeah,
like,
you're like, where the
uh,
hell's Joe?
yeah, exactly. I was like, oh, this is different. I was like, I guess this makes more sense as an origin story, though. It kind of does. Like he
I
would.
do. I will say, and I'll probably say this
Hmm.
next episode as well. I do like the change here because I think one thing that it can be comic accurate. It is
Hmm.
comic accurate for most of it. But one thing we've kind of gotten away from is letting people do some nice twist that like instantly. If I see Joe West or something, I know. Oh, this is the Flash from the CW show. Like
Hmm.
same thing with having the 1990 Flash show and the relationship there as well, right? Like
Hmm.
it is instant like, oh, that's this version. It's like seeing the Raimi suit or something and being like, oh, I instantly know where I'm at when I'm watching this. Like
No, I get that. Yeah.
uh I think that is something that, and it also helps give Barry a reason to, like, he had a role model that was a cop that also helps him get there, as well as my mom was murdered and my dad's wrongly imprisoned. It is like Joe is a cop. He's somebody that he can lean on,
Hmm.
that he trusts, that knows his history. Because otherwise he could have a very actual like. I know he doesn't in the comics and stuff, but like he could have more of an antagonistic view of the cops because they got
Hmm.
this wrong in his mind. His
Right.
dad is falsely imprisoned. This could be
Hmm.
a different point here where he is, but he's living with somebody that raises him and is a cop as well.
Joe West balances Barry out and gives him the father that he needs. And the thing about Joe that I like so much is he is such a tender, marshmallow-hearted badass. Like he is a strong man with great discipline and willpower, but he's got a soft spot for Barry, and he always has Barry's. I think Barry balances Joe out just as much as Joe balances Barry out. Like I think it's a very mutual, beneficial father son kind of thing. But Barry, I, I I think the thing that annoys me for Barry is that he is so in the middle, like you said, of the antagonistic with the cops and the pro cops that I I I wish there was more of an ideology that was presented there, but or
Mm-hmm.
or like more of a backlash at Joe sometimes. But you did early in the show. Joe was like, why are you still on this thing with your dad? Why are you still on this thing? Give it up, you know." And he had to be brought over to the impossible is possible thing. So
Right, right. Oh yeah, there's a really favorite moment of mine later in season
mhm.
1 that we'll get to.
I think I know what you're talking about.
But anyway, let's go ahead and move on here. So we get oh yeah, so they have this. We also get the particle accelerator being turned on, the countdown, and a Harrison
Hmm.
Wells name drop. So this is impressive to me. They knew exactly where they wanted to go
Yep.
a year out. You know, this is December of 2013. They're a year out
Uh-huh.
from the pilot. I know this was being used as a backdoor pilot, but even having names like Harrison Wells name dropped.
They had to have
Um,
the flash outlined before they did this.
yes, yeah.
There's no other way to slice it. I feel like the particle accelerator thing, I was like, there was a part of me during this episode that's like, I know how this thing pans out. I was like, he's got to get back to Central City. This timeline isn't making sense to my head.
Yeah, because Central City is well, Star City's on like the West Coast. Central City's in Middle America.
Right. So, like, my whole thought process is like, during this is like, I know he gets back, but it doesn't feel like he's going to get back in time. And it's playing a weird trick in my head where it's like, wait a second, I know how this ends, but like at the
I
same
don't think
time,
it well, because you make a good point. I don't think it actually makes sense. Like a
no,
train
it doesn't.
ride from the West Coast to
And he misses his
Central
initial train ride.
America, and what
Mhm.
the countdown at some point is like an
It's like
hour.
hour, yeah. Like,
Like
what
there's
kind
no
of
way
train are
he's
you?
making it.
Yeah, and then
Bullet train.
and not only that, but he's where he needs to be for the accident with the lightning bolt. Like it's just,
Yes. Yeah.
um. So I'll give them credit for having the flash outlined, but the timeline was
They didn't.
ridiculous.
They didn't have the
And like,
map outlined.
well, not only did they not have the map outlined, but they're just like asking us to go with it, which you'll learn as an Arrowverse fan. You're gonna have to do a lot.
Yeah, because they have. Let's see. I don't know. I'm trying to find a map for it, but I just always think Central City. I would think is like Kansas City.
I always thought Central City was like the tip of like the panhandle of Oklahoma.
Yeah, I don't know because it's just like I feel like. Let me see. Central City, DC location. Let's look that up. Typically, typically it is in the Kansas near the Kansas border in Missouri apparently, and
So
Keystone is in
Kansas City makes sense.
Kansas. And Keystone's in Kansas.
So Kansas City
Um
would be a good.
yeah, and
Uh-huh.
then Star City, or as it's known here,
Hmm.
I forgot Starling City. I totally forgot about that, by the way.
Yeah,
um
it does throw you for a
oh
loop.
yes, Star City is like North California. I'm sorry, you're not getting there in an hour or whatever.
Yeah,
you're
it
not
doesn't make any sense.
You're not getting
It
there the same night the way that he does. Like
it
it's just not.
it and it's like a universe like dependent thing that he does.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I thought like I was like I would have had. I'm like, is nobody in like the writing room going, wait a second, guys?
yeah. I mean, the good thing about fictional cities is you can kind of fudge it, I guess, right?
Right.
Like it's whatever. Look, this is not a problem when he becomes the Flash. He can go
No,
anywhere at any time. It's just this moment here where it's like, okay, I don't
well,
know,
when he's the Flash, he can get to China in like point 0.6 seconds. So
right? Or they like go to Paris and stuff, right? And like
yeah,
learn. Don't they do like
and then he
cooking
takes
or something?
Diggle all over the place and he throws up every time, which is
Yes.
one of my favorite gags. So you should have a tally for the Diggle throw ups.
Oh, maybe if
Hmm.
there's a if there's enough of them.
I feel like there's at least 7.
So we have Lance talking to his captain. Right, they're going to go after the bad guy. This is his and his partner and all that. Like this is somebody he knows very very well, who is going to get killed off in this warehouse fight. with Cyrus Gold. We also have Felicity and Barry going to Big Belly Burger to watch the rest of the countdown. Barry tells Oliver the blood analysis is almost done. Oliver hallucinates Slade again. We're going to find out very shortly here as well that it is the blood is fine. It's actually psychological. It's actually not from the rat poison. He's having a psychological issue where he's seeing these
It's very Fight Club.
ghosts. Yeah, and Laurel is going to talk to, of course, her boyfriend. She wants to ask him about the blood drive, but right at that time, she gets a call about her dad being in the ICU. So she takes off. Felicity sees the news about Detective Lance, and they all rush to the, they're all like, "Oh my god!" Laurel visits her dad. We get Sebastian Blood arriving. Then the Arrow arrives in the room and asks to talk, or talks to Lance. We kind of learn here that like the rest of the cops died. Lance says that Arrow should go like kill the guy, right? Like he's not gonna be upset if Cyrus Gold ends up dead. Oliver is sharpening his arrows. Oliver and Diggle talk. He said Diggle said he's seen ghosts before. You got to learn what your ghost is telling you. Kind of like you got to learn your lesson before you're able to kind of put it in the rear view mirror.
That's actually a pretty common thread with anything in the Arrowverse. Like every time Barry's in the Speed Force, it's like you got to figure something out before you can go back.
Yeah. I thought you were gonna say it's like Diggle sees ghosts all the time. Oliver says that he's gonna go. Felicity is like, "You can't," and he says, "I'll come back. Promise me." Right? And Barry just kind of looks knowingly like, yeah, she's into this guy. I have no shot here at this point.
Yeah, Barry's like, Oliver Queen, billionaire, looks like that. Yeah.
Billionaire, playboy, philanthropist.
All right, Tony.
Roy is breaking into this place to get files. He gets knocked out. They take him to the lab. He's going to be the one injected, Demir Guru.
Mm-hmm.
As he's getting injected, that's when Oliver drops in. He's like, "Who gave you the formula? Who gave you the formula? It's a gift, right?" Is what the guy says. And we're going to see who gave him that in a little bit. So we get Roy like having I guess Roy technically dies and then is going to get resuscitated by Oliver. Oliver sees Tommy, his third ghost. He's like, "You fought to save me. You fight to survive." And then we kind of cut to, Roy's in bed at Thea's. Sebastian Blood is on TV. Then we see him like walk in and he talks to Slade, who is alive. He was alive on the island. He fought Ivo and stuff for them, but kind of feel like we've been under the impression he's not really a figure anymore. They did the bait and switch with him dying and coming back. We have the flashback of Slade waking up. He saves Sarah and Oliver. Oliver talks to Felicity and Diggle. He's like, "Hey, where's Barry?" He went back to Central City, made it in time, but missed the cutoff for the line for Star Labs, is what we get here. He also says, "Hey, if you ever want to date, if you ever figure out your crap with Oliver and it's not going to happen, I am DTF, right? I am
Pretty
here.
Much, yeah.
Come and get me." Barry arrives to his lab. He's working on his murder board. We have the particle accelerator is going haywire. We get like the red wave going throughout. They're trying to shut it down. And Barry's like, "Oh, let me open up the sunroof here." And then we get objects shaking and liquids floating. The lightning strikes him. He lays unconscious in his lab while it's being rained on. That's the last we see of Barry for now. But that's where I thought the episode ended. But then it's like, hey, actually, Barry left you this. And it's a domino mask for Oliver. Because they had that whole conversation about like the grease around the eyes not working. Get a mask, right?
And he looks exactly the same.
is where it ends. Yeah, he does. It's not a big difference. But I will say I'm glad he has the mask now because that is, I think, a more iconic look.
I agree, but like it's like, oh wow, it's just a little darker.
Yeah, yeah. But that's that. That's Barry's introduction
Mm-hmm.
into the Arrowverse. One thing I like about the pilot is it's going to show some of this again.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, it doesn't
they
assume that
had
you
to.
watched Arrow. Yeah,
Yeah, they had to. They had to.
it's also been like a year ago, so
All right, so let's go ahead and hit up the tally board. I'm going to tell you the categories.
okay.
Okay, so here's what we got. This is the Star Labs dry erase board. Okay, because they always have that dry
Mm-hmm.
erase board that they're doing their stuff
Okay.
on. We have most of these are only pertaining to
The
the
Flash.
Flash. It's going to be
Mm-hmm.
hard to do some of this, but here we go. We got
Okay.
Wells. We got Wells. That's when a new Wells variant shows up.
Okay.
We've got not the fastest man alive. That's anytime a new speedster shows up and they're like,
And
"Oh my
he's
god, he's so
faster.
much faster than you."
Oh, that's going to be a lot of ties.
We have hallway talks. Anytime characters have a heart to heart in the hallway, which they do at Star Labs quite a lot.
Get the biggest tally board you've ever found.
We've got name game. Anytime Cisco names villains.
Again, get the big tally board.
Particle accelerator metas. Villains who got powers in the particle accelerator explosion. Any of those two explosions, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
New 52. The number of times they say the number 52, which they say a lot.
Very true.
We have Barry being late. I don't have a cool name for that one yet, but Barry being late.
Sorry, Sing.
Or like not in time. I don't know. But Barry being late. We have one so far. Last episode, he was late. He missed his train. Time travel shenanigans. Anytime he goes back in time or comes from the future, anytime he uses time travel shenanigans. We have Run Barry Run and Who Said It. We're going to log how many times that's said and how many times each person says Run Barry Run.
Run, Barry, run.
Little crossover with Marvel here. I have Multiverse of Madness. Plots or references revolving around the multiverse. So season 2 will be heavily featured there. As well as having the not fastest man alive, also saying I'm not fast enough. That is a separate tally I'm going to have.
Oh,
How
that's
many
a
times
separate
Barry
tally.
says, yeah, because sometimes it's not just related to another speedster. Sometimes it's like, I'm just not fast enough to do this. So anytime he says he is not fast enough, we're going to count that.
Okay.
Open secret. The people who know Barry's secret. How many people and who knows it?
Mm-hmm.
We've got Back from the Dead. So this is the one I feel like I have to log here. How many times we believe someone to have died on the show and come back later? I feel like Slade counts. Does Roy count?
I'm going to count it. I would count
All right,
it.
I'll let you count it. So we're going to do 2 for Back from the Dead. That's
The Roy
Roy
one is more
and Slade.
questionable.
Yeah, I'll count it. I'll let the guest decide. That's what Zach does on Always Hold On to Smallville. We'll let the guest decide. And then later, crisis count. How many times they say the word crisis, and flashpoint count. How many times they say flashpoint? Because they say that.
My biggest annoyance with Flashpoint is they're like, I was like, ooh, they're gonna do Flashpoint. It's like that was Flashpoint. Darn.
Yeah. All right, so let's get to the rating scale here. How about that? So you helped me come up with this, but we have a rating of 1 through 5 is what it equals. We have Mach 1, which is a 1, Mach 2, which is a 2, Mach 3, which is a 3, Mach 4, I'm just kidding, not Mach 4. We have Speed of Light as the number 4, and then number 5, Enter Flash Time. That is the best episode an episode could be, is Enter Flash Time. Last time, Lance and I rated this episode as episode 8, The Scientist, as Enter Flash Time. So Chris, put it to you here. 3 ghosts. What are you rating it?
Am I rating it as a Flash episode or an Arrow episode? Because it makes a
You're
difference.
just rating it as an episode of television.
Okay. Kind of go Mach 3.
Okay, Mach 3. That's kind of low, I felt like. Okay.
I I feel like there's a lot better to come. Like I feel like I
Yeah, yeah.
enjoyed it, but and maybe I'll feel different when I'm in the actual show, The Flash. But
Yeah.
I was like catching up to like, oh yeah, this happened in Arrow. Oh yeah, this happened in Arrow. It had been a while. But I've watched The Flash much more like through like
Yeah.
multiple times than I have Arrow. Um, so like, cause I'll just put on an episode of Flash sometimes. But I'll go Mach 3. Like I didn't dislike this episode. It's not a Mach 1. Um,
I'm
I
going
don't
to
think it's
go
special.
I'm going to go with Enter Flash Time. Look, if we're looking at IMDb, it's a
Hmm.
9.2 out of 10.
You know,
9.2 out of 10.
maybe I'm off base here. Mach 3 is
Yeah.
where I was
Sounds
going
like you
though.
are.
So all right,
Uh
well, the people have spoken, and I'm an idiot. That's fine. Uh,
Uh, there's not much trivia I want to share here, but
mhm.
Cyrus Gold is the name of Solomon Grundy.
I
And
could,
there
yeah.
is the reference to Solomon Grundy's poem
Hmm.
when, they're like, what about Cyrus Gold? And Oliver says, died on a Saturday, buried on a Sunday,
Yep.
which is the Grundy poem. So I guess this is Arrowverse's Solomon Grundy.
I could go low speed of light here. I could go speed of light here. Mach 3 speed of light. It's in between.
Okay. So we're between a 3 and a 4. Uh,
Like a 3.5 would be out of 5.
no
Like,
points.
all right, so like, but if I'm like saying, so Enter Flash Time season 4 is my favorite episode. So like, if that's my
So that's a
bar,
5. Yeah.
right? That's a 5. That's my bar.
It's
This
fine.
episode,
You can
yeah,
rate it whatever you want.
it's just
I
not that
don't care.
exciting of an episode.
Yeah,
It's a routine episode for me. It's in the middle of a season. If it wasn't introducing Flash, I don't think we would have an Enter Flash Time. That,
could be. Could be. All right. So where our tally board currently stands is 2 Back from the Dead and 1 Very Late. Oh, that could be the name of it instead of Very Late. Very Late. Uh we
there you
got
go.
uh so that's what we've got so far for us here. Next episode, we kick it off proper with the Flash season 1 episode 1 pilot. Our guest is going to be, should I spoil the guest? I'm going to spoil the guest.
Go for it.
It is Zach Moore from Always Hold On to Smallville and
Oh,
Always
that's a
Hold
big
On
hit.
to Flash, which is
Hmm.
when they talk the 90s Flash. So we have Zach, so we'll of course be talking about John Wesley Shipp and the
Hmm.
1990s Flash and him being recast as Barry's dad in this and later on
Right.
however many roles he has in this show.
Then the 1990 Flash is the best live action suit we've ever seen.
It is. We've ranked
Hmm.
it that way. And I
Hmm.
guess what? Good reference there, but I did some preseason run up onto this where I ranked every season of The Flash and every live action suit of The Flash. So you can go look at those. It's on a tier list. It's on YouTube. It's on the
Hmm.
Spotify. You can watch the video and have me rank them. But uh, and we'll do kind of more fun stuff like that, I think, in between seasons or something. But that's what we got for you. So next week we kick it off proper with Zach Moore talking the pilot. So thank you, Chris, for coming on here. If you want to share where people can follow you on social media, if you want to share that. Otherwise, they can find you on
Yeah.
Supes and Sabers.
Yeah, Supes and Sabers is really my main thing. I'm at Football Man 58 for all the Ravens stuff. I write for RussellStreetReport.com. I'm doing less of that than I used to. I used to be like the main thing was for it. And I'm at Multiversal Omni on X.
Twitter.
My, yeah, Twitter. And then, I'm at Multiversal Omni, but my handle is, that's the handle, but I go D Chris U Studios. I don't know. Thought it was clever. Um, yeah.
All right, there you go. And this show at enter_flash time on Twitter. On Facebook, you can just find us facebook.com/enterflashtime. Email us enterflashpod@gmail.com. You can send us long form emails there or any sort of feedback about this show or about your thoughts on Flash as a whole, as a character in the Arrowverse. I think we'll do some cool things on this feed as well. Like I said, in between seasons, or even like maybe we look back at the 90s show. Maybe we look at some comics. I actually put up an absolute Flash 1 through 3 discussion with myself about my reactions to that comic on the feed as well. But hey, when we get like DCU Flash information, it'll be on here as well as Supes and Sabers. I'll kind of put it on both feeds, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is great.
I'm excited for this show because I get to listen to a Flash podcast again. Like, I'll be on every now and then, but like, I have a Flash podcast again. This is great.
And anytime, I guess also if you want to email us for inquiries, like if you actually want to be on the show, if you have podcasts, if you, is there a special episode that speaks to you that you're like, I just gotta talk about this one? Give us a shot. We'll see how it, how it all plays out. But there's a lot of episodes of The Flash for me to cover. I'm going to need a lot of guests. Of course, we'll have repeat guests like Chris referenced. He'll be on occasionally. I'm going to see if anybody, as we go throughout here, what other repeat guests we'll get. But yeah, looking forward to it. It really feels like, this was more of an Arrow start. Is that a bad thing? Should I have started with the pilot anyway? No. The whole point is to do every episode of The Flash.
Every episode of Barry Allen.
So
my question to you,
I don't regret it, but it's kind of like a rough start, you know?
Right. My question is, do you do every episode that Kid Flash is in?
I've debated that as well. I think we'll get there when we get there.
Yeah, you got some time.
Yeah, I got some time. But yeah, thank you, Chris, for coming on and talking this episode with me. And I hope anybody that listened to this, rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or like and subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can find the video version of the pod as well. Thank you all for listening along. We'll catch you next time when we talk The Flash, Season 1, Episode 1, the pilot.